Jersey. A little bit. No. Sure. Let's get this over with. Huh? Well, you may have noticed that there wasn't a video last week because I didn't feel there need to be one right before World started because PTL and a whole bunch of other videos that went up already. Uh, and there's nothing else happening really in CS:GO. CS:GO is, I think, just qualifiers for like the next major. I guess that's kind of important, but I was too hyped for Worlds to really think about it. And I think I was coaching at the time. I think I was helping with scrims or something happened. I don't fucking remember. Uh, God, there wasn't a video yesterday because I planned on doing one yesterday that I was just gonna set up for the Worlds ones, and then I decided I'll just do one for the next 4 days for each group. Why not? I'll do one for each group, and uh, and then afterwards I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to do this one or not. Oh, we're on an island. The island sucks. Yeah. Well, wow. I don't want to talk about this group right now. I'm so sad. It's such disappointment. But it's later. Okay, so I think that this group played out. I don't want to say expectedly because it really wasn't. I assume a lot of people expected CLG to at least get out of groups as number 2 seed and Flash Wolves to be 3. But I kind of noticed from the first day or the first week of Worlds that they didn't. CLG particularly didn't really seem to prepared for anybody, especially not Ku. Like Ku fucked them in draft twice. Ku outdrafted them super hard twice in both of the games, and then Flash Wolves did the exact same thing. Flash Wolves pretty much looked at what Ku did and said, "Oh, wow, they have good pick and ban. We should copy them." And they're just like, "Yeah, sure." And then there's CLG sitting 100% getting out of groups. Easy. They Flash Wolves. They're okay. They're an okay team, but I'm sure we're just better. Who needs to try? And they did try. I know they tried, but they're gonna get a lot of flack. It was rough to watch today. However, it was their first time back at Worlds in 3 years as an organization. The team, what the team actually accomplished this year in general was phenomenal. They did pretty good. Oh, summer split. We'll talk about. We won't go into 17 pages worth of why they didn't do so good the entire year, but summer split. Summer split. There's a pretty good there's a pretty good increase of how their performance was going. They ended up winning NA. So overall for the organization, it's been a pretty good year. They went from relegations last year all the way to the Worlds now. They fell short. Um, their preparation was super terrible for the teams in their group, and they had plenty of time to prep for these teams and what they're going to play, and they didn't, or they tried to, and they just didn't get it done fast enough. Whatever the reason, whatever the excuse, it didn't happen. COG fell to Ku, Flash Wolves, and Pain all the same day. Although I don't really care about the Pain game because at that point nothing really mattered. Um, I was killing myself in class watching Flash Wolves beat Ku. And I feel like Ku set it up because looking at their man, I don't know. Oh, I don't know if it was just out of spite from me or whatever, but man, it looked like Ku was so fucking happy to be losing that game. In uh Like they didn't look like they were trying. They I guess it's like that Asian thing or the Chinese thing how they did it in how I think it was LGD did that in spring playoffs where it's like they like planned out the entire split or most of it of where they would win, how many wins they would get so that they could place at this certain point in the bracket stage for like playoffs, and then they would just pick it up and they'd fucking try to win it or whatever. I feel like it was kind of like that with Coup, except they were purposely throwing it. But I don't know what it was, man. But I feel like Coup had like it was like their goal at the beginning of group stage to make sure that CLG does not make it out. Like Gorilla the entire time was talking down to CLG and saying they're not a good enough team. They think Flash Wolves is better. Flash Wolves ended up being better. I never doubted that Flash Wolves is a bad team, personally. Um, and CLG performed like they were a bad team. They just didn't prepare. Their pick and ban was like the worst I've seen in a very long time. They just didn't adapt to the patch very well, and or they did, and for some whatever reason on the stage they decided not to take those champions. I don't think they tilted after the first coup game. I think they tilted hardcore after the second coup game where they got fucked twice, like 22 or 23 plus kills under 30 minutes each game. Like that's one after the other too. I think it kind of sucks, and I guess it's a little unlucky that they got coup twice in a row rather than like coup on the first day instead of like Flash Wolves and then Pain, where it was like, all right, they were fairly close with Flash Wolves. They had an easier game against Pain, and then they had the hardest game of the entire group stage last, and then the hardest game of the entire group stage first on the second on today, and then they had they had the total stomp out from the first one earlier in the day, and then they had the super close match from last week in the middle of the day, and then they had the easier one at the bottom. That kind of sucks because if that happens at the top with the top team and they just fucking cave your asshole in with their fist twice, it's kind of hard not like. All right, so put yourselves in any team shoes, just any team. You make your own team. You put yourself in the situation. You're in Worlds. You're playing. You go 2-0. You play this one team that is a contender to be top 2 in the group with you, and they cave your fucking face in the first game, and you're like, damn, that's a shitty way to go out in groups for the first week. All right, so we play them first on our group day, and we have a week to prepare. Let's see what they did. Let's fuck them up. And then you get there on the next day, which would have been today, and they do the exact same thing no matter what you did. And that is tilt worthy. I know CLG is probably going to get flack for tilting in general because that's just what they're known to do. But in all other in this situation in particular, that is tilt worthy. I would have tilted fucking hardcore. Are you kidding me? I would have tilted off the face of the play. I would have ended up like CLG. I would have had like Crumbs' boat. Oh, like yeah, we're HyperX. We're doing super good right now. We're winning. We're like top of the shit. What happened? I don't know. We just dropped. It like gravity just kind of took us to the ground. Like I don't know what happened. That's kind of what it's like. That's kind of what it's like tilting. Like you just can't. Where'd the mic go? Fuck. Whatever. You just can't. It's that. Oh, I'm stepping on it. That I will grant them as that's a tilt worthy situation. I would have tilted too. I think. Uh, I don't even know if I can think of a team that would not be tilted from that. It's hard. It's hard. That's a hard situation to come back from. That's not an easy situation to go through. And it's weird because you can't just put the losses behind you because you have to be able to learn from them. So you can't even be the type of person that just kind of like, all right, well, shit happens. Let's just go into the next one because you need to know how you lost or the other team's going to do the exact same thing. So it kind of sucked. But I figured I guess I'd talk about that one first because that's like that was closest to home to me. CLG, CLG fan. Uh, we'll talk about this later. But I don't know. It was a rough group. It was a rough day. They just didn't show up on the day, and then they fell out of groups for it. So not much really to say there. In terms of coup, I want to say they probably could have. No, they didn't. They couldn't have 6-0'd because they lost the Flash Wolves twice. Although I think coup could have 6-0'd, but if I don't know, cause I don't know if I should actually count today's game against Flash Wolves or not because I feel like that could have been a setup for many different reasons. So I know most of Coup was talking down to CLG, I believe, and saying that Flash Wolves probably get through anyway, or like we thought they were a better team, and then it turns out they're actually just trash. Anyway, um, and then I think they started talking about if they when they get out of for groups first, the thing that they're worried about is running into Fnatic and not really anybody else. So I feel like it was kind of a setup because now they're not first. Now they won't run into Fnatic at all, and thus Fnatic gets first in their group, whatever. But they were expecting Fnatic to not get group first seed. So if they don't get first seed, they just avoided the Fnatic team that they didn't want to play against. So I feel like that could be set up. But if they won the first Flash Wolves game, I think they could have been first without a doubt, or a 6-0, I should say, because I don't know, it depends, whatever. Um, but I think Coup played pretty standard to what people would have expected. However, actually, I do think their early game ended up being a lot better. They did a lot of things that it's almost like they studied how CLG got ahead in their early game, and they did pretty much everything that could ever possibly counter what they do, and it worked for just about every team. Um, so I feel like if CLG wasn't exploited so hard the first time they played Coup, I think CLG probably could have made it out still. But Coup exploited the flaws in the early game, and I'm pretty sure Flash Wolves learned from it um, pretty quickly, actually. I think Flash Wolves is a good team in the fact of most of their players are pretty good too. Mabel showed up today kind of expectedly. I watched some LMS games and I watched some of the Flash Wolves from like spring and AHQ and spring and some of the LMS playoffs and because LMS was such a weird time frame for my time zone, so it was a little weird to catch it. But I was able to catch a few games, and kind of watch how they played. And Maple kind of played to expectations for the most part. Maple's not a shit player. Maple's really fucking good. He was hyped up for a reason, and so was Sword Art. Sword Art's our other team, right? Thinking of a different team, right? Not. Why not? Holy shit! I totally forgot. No, Sword Art is on Flash Wolves. Yeah. Oh, I need to look it up now. Ah, 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 bathroom. Load. Holy shit. Hmm. Yeah, Sword Art is in Flash Wolves. Okay, I thought so. Um, Sword Art is also a really good support. For a lot of the things he does, like pretty much he plays kind of like Afro, but in this tournament specifically, he played the better Afro. He did the roaming, he played the pick champs, he played the Morgana that Afro Mu is really good on. Afro is a good Morgana, and Morgana is really strong right now because they counter a lot of the champions that are fucking good right now, like Alistair and Braum. And Vigar. Even if Vigar comes back in the tournament, you black shield somebody and they won't get stunned, and then all of a sudden, if it's like a Jinx or a Tristana, that Vigar is fucking dead. Dead Dunzo. He's 17 pages worth of a death certificate. Just out the window. But yeah, the entire team is not bad. Like Flash Wolves is a good team. I think although I think NL played surprisingly well. He played a lot better than a lot of people expected. Apparently, I was watching a double lift interview. He said he played a lot better than he thought too. So took them by surprise. Probably took Coup by surprise because I know it doesn't all revolve around Prey, but most of it revolves around like the bottom lane and the top lane, or bottom lane jungle for the most part. So Prey is involved in that in some sense. So it probably took Prey by surprise. Um, but I don't know. I don't know what to exactly think about this group, except for sadness. Um, and I think Pain did pretty good too. I didn't expect any team in this group to be bad. And I mean CLG kind of showed that at the end that they were just off the face of the planet. They were there. World is over here. They're just way over there somewhere. But I don't know. I kind of figured this group would be highly competitive in the beginning. I didn't think that any team here is so far below the other one that it would just be a one-sided stomp. Like Ku versus CLG was. So I guess Ku just had CLG's number. They Ku played better against CLG than they did in anybody else on the group. Which probably says something. I mean, I guess it's sadly it's kind of true. They just didn't prepare enough. But Ku was up there. Flash Wolves is up there. Pain is okay. Pain's not a bad wild card team. And then CLG was number one in NA, which hopefully that still means something, right? Am I right? Go C9. Yeah, 7th place. Maybe it's the opposite for maybe it's the opposite for NA when they go to Worlds, where like the lower teams are just gonna do better, and the higher up teams just never do well. Maybe that's why NA's never done that great at Worlds, because the lower teams can never actually get to Worlds because they don't end up getting there. But now because of the regional qualifiers, they're able to get there like Cloud9 did. So maybe that's how NA actually works. Maybe that's how NA wins Worlds. Maybe that's how C9 is going to win Worlds. You have to be bottom tier NA LCS to win Worlds and get out of groups and go to quarters and all that kind of shit. You gotta be like 7th place, just about to hit relegations tier LCS team to win Worlds as an NA team. That's just how it works. I guess that's just how it works. I'm sure we'll find out if TSM flukes or not flukes. If they flop out of groups also and C9 just does incredibly well, then we'll know. Then we'll know for sure that the system just needs to be backwards for NA. And the lower teams go to Worlds, and the higher teams don't get relegated, but they don't go to Worlds. It makes sense to me. It makes perfect sense to me. I think that'll work perfectly fine. I think that's great. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Lower place teams go to Worlds. That way CLG can go to Worlds every year when they're placed 6th at the end of the year. God, that hurt to say. I don't think they will be anymore. But back to Group A. Like I said, I never thought anybody in this group was actually that far below any other team in the group. That's why it kind of confused me where people kept saying that this was the easiest group by far. And I guess the Group of Life is actually a good name for this one, because any team really could have come together and won. Like I know today we saw Pain just miss getting out of groups because they made a poor call, a hesitant call in a tight situation against Flash Wolves in the 3rd game of the day, where it was Mylon was split pushing bottom, and I guess Pain didn't have vision of whoever went back. They had 2 people go back, 2 people recalled from Flash Wolves to stop Minions from hitting the base and to stop Mylon from split pushing. They had 2 inhibs down, and the rest of the other 4 members were on Baron. Pretty much, they were around the pit, and it was It could have been a 5v3 to get that Baron, and they backed off. And instead, they went for the Dragon to stop Flash Wolves from getting the 5th Dragon. Ended up getting the Dragon's smite stolen and then losing the fight afterwards, which lost them the game. So a hesitant call like that is what made this group, is what made Pain not get out of groups and Flash Wolves pretty much become first. Right? Am I right about that? Yeah, because Flash Wolves was 1 and 2. Yeah. Yeah, so that was the difference. That's what it would have been. And that's in Pain's case, the reason they didn't get out of groups was hesitant. hesitance. They were too hesitant. They just couldn't make a solid decision when the time really came down to it. And for CLG, it was just they were not prepared. They did not prepare thoroughly and well enough to know what the pick and ban phases for each of these teams is going to be like, what they played, what was OP at the time, or why they didn't choose it. They were just not prepared. As for Coup and Flash Wolves, they fared pretty well. They adapted to the new patch for the most part. They played. I actually think Flash Wolves and Coup played, and we don't know this yet for sure because the other groups haven't finished yet. But compared to what I saw last week and then today, it seems like Flash Wolves and Coup uh decided not, or they adapted pretty well to the fact that they decided not to play what's OP right now, or what would be considered OP, and in fact they have like the secret counters to those OPs, and they figured it out and they played those and they countered everybody else, and that's just how they won. That's just how they got out of the groups. As for tomorrow, I'm kind of excited for Group C. Group C is going to be SKT and EDG. Oh, that brings it back to why I don't understand why people said this was the easiest group, because in all honesty, Group C is the easiest group that you could possibly get. That's just the easiest group at Worlds in general, because you have SKT and EDG in the same group, the two possible finalists in the same group, with the actual number 3 team from Europe, because H2K has always been lesser than Origin the entire split, and then Bangkok Titans, the absolute worst team in the entire tournament. It literally doesn't get any harder than that. There's only 2 teams that are going to get out of that group, and it's SKT and EDG. Out of question. Zero doubts. Does not matter. That's the easiest group because you already know who's getting out. Like there's no other thing. So tomorrow I'm expecting SKT to go 3-0 and EDG to go 2-1. That's what I'm expecting. Those 2 teams are going to get out of groups. As for H2K, I think they're going to go 1-2, and I think Bangkok's going to go 0-3. I think Bangkok Titan is going to go 0-6 in this entire group. I think that's fair. I think H2K is going to go 2-4. EDG 5-1 and SKT 6-0. I think SKT can do it. I think SKT's probably going to win Worlds, but I think this is the best chance for a Western team to actually take the crown. And if Fnatic pulls their shit together, C9 continues doing what they're doing, Origin keeps doing what they're doing, and then TSM fixes their shit, we might have 4 Western teams going to groups. What a day to be alive. Alright, no, not today. Today sucks. Today's not a good day to be alive. What a time to be alive. The rest of October after today. What a great time to be alive. There's going to be so many good games coming up for Worlds. I'm super fucking hyped. Still hyped. I have so much hype inside of me that I am sad. Still sad. Damn, it sucks, man. But I think the Western teams have a good chance. I think Origin's playing pretty good. Cloud9 surprisingly doing well. I don't actually know what is winning. What is the winning factor for Cloud9? I have not a clue. I don't actually know. It's definitely high shot calling is definitely part of it, but God, I don't know. I actually think it's just high shot calling, because I think the teams that they're playing against, which is AHQ and IG and Fnatic, arguably Fnatic should be doing better against Cloud9. I think they'll win next time because of Yellowstar shot calling. But IG and AHQ, I think if it goes late game, I think Cloud9 should have no problem winning against any one of those teams. I think high shot calling will absolutely steamroll over AHQ and IG's anything. I think if it goes late game, there's no reason Cloud9 should lose. And then as for Group D, since I guess I'm just doing predictions now, I'm gonna say I think Origin can get out of groups. I think they have a pretty decent shot. As long as they keep playing like they do. I mean, they've had a whole other week. If they don't end up like CLG, then and like prepare poorly, which I don't think they will, then they should be fine. KT I think will get out of groups. I think it'll be Origin KT. KT's looking really fucking good right now. KT's looking like the possible, like. So I know they went over this in Primetime League yesterday about the third best team in the world, and I think two of them are in the same group. That's KT and OG and Origin. I think both of those are highly in contention for #3 team in the world, and they're playing each other. So I'm really excited to see how that game plays out. I think this, and it's so crazy too, because that's probably one of the best games at Worlds right now was KT versus Origin, and the strategy in that game was incredible. The Baron call, that pretty much won Origin the game. The map movements from KT beforehand, before that one little slip up that Origin was able to like point out and be like, "Hey, we can take advantage of this. Let's get him. Let's kill that brown worm." The map movements from KT were crazy. Their KT's doing really well. And something that I wish CLG had done, which I think is which I think the reason why they lost was they played the same strategy the entire time. And I think that's because they figured they were just going to get out of groups and they didn't want to show their hand, which I think is stupid. Not because they didn't make it out of groups because of it, but because in groups, it shouldn't really matter how much you show your hand. You kind of want to get out of groups in a pretty definitive way. So I understand not showing your hand if you're a Korean team and you've been there before. Your players are absolutely godlike. You know the strategics of the entire game. That's fine. But as a Western team and as CLG, you don't want to hide your picks. You want to get as far in this tournament as quickly as possible. They should have brought out everything in this group so that they could get out. That's what should have happened. I think they were trying really hard to conceal the rest of their picks for quarters and that stuff. I think they looked way too far ahead, and it bit them in the ass in the end. That's just how it happens. And as for TSM and LGD and Group D, I think that part of me hopes that LGD will bounce back because I really like Imp as a player, and I know that they are using Flame this week, so that's gonna be really interesting to watch. Actually, I'm super excited to see Flame play. And then I haven't seen Flame play in forever. God, whole year actually. Because I don't think he played while he was in China. I think he was on the bench the entire time. But as for TSM, it's so hard to place TSM in this group. I don't know. It looked like they got better when they played against Origin and KT. It looked like they were kind of bouncing back. So if they're on the right track, I hope that they can make it out of groups and bring the Western pride back to what was stolen from the West when CLG was knocked out and there was no other Western team in that group to save redemption, redeem them. Yep, words now. So I can hope that TSM will get out, even though god damn I hate TSM. Fuck you, TLG, and Origin. So the perfect way for these groups to go would be C9, Fnatic, Origin, and TSM all getting out of groups in the same week. What a time to be alive. Actually, what does that do? I'm pretty sure that guarantees at least 2 Western quarterfinals, where it would be like C9 versus TSM. Let's say if TSM got second, C9 got first. C9 versus TSM, and wait, is that possible? No, that's not possible. I don't think. No, it can't. It would be at least one Western quarterfinal. If all 4 teams got out from the West into the bracket stage, should be at least one Western because SKT and EDG would have to be on the opposite side of the brackets. Right? Holy shit, I'm forgetting about Group A. Oh my goodness. How would these brackets work? Okay, so hold on, let me think about it. If we take the bracket stage where EDG and SKT can't play each other till the finals, Coup Tigers, Flash Wolves can't play to the finals. And Fnatic, C9 couldn't play to the finals. Origin, TSM couldn't play to the finals. Which means on one side of the bracket you'd have SKT, SKT, Fnatic, SKT, Fnatic, Origin, and Coup Tigers. So in that sense, you could have, yeah. You could have technically, you could have two Western quarterfinals. I was right. Yeah. So then, because you'd have SKT, SKT, Coup Tigers, Origin, and Fnatic. And then you on the, if that was one side of the bracket, then you'd have on the other side EDG, C9, TSM, and KT. Yeah. No, not KT. And Flash Wolves. Yeah. So that would be the groups. So you'd have EDG, Flash Wolves, C9, and TSM, and then you'd have on this side Origin, Fnatic, SKT, and yeah. Holy shit, that's confusing. That's a lot of thinking. I think I'll make a video of that on the last day, or I'll when I go over the last day, like before I make the video, I'll look at all that shit because that's a lot of things to think about. I think I could probably make all the brackets in my head like right now if I really wanted to, but that's a lot of thinking. That's it's really actually not that complicated. Actually, you can probably guess what brackets are going to happen if you made like four. Probably not even four. No, maybe four. If you made like four different bracket stages with those four teams of the teams that would be getting out, you could probably find out which one they would get just by default because of the standards of the groups and how they would work. Not that bad actually. But yeah, so that's Group A. The results: Coup Tigers or Flash Wolves. Coup Tigers got out. Flash Wolves ranked number 1. Coup Tigers number 2. Rest in peace, Faith Age. Goodbye, things. Welcome to the Cloud Age. Worlds!